Hello, I'm Mr. Polanco. I'm the John Hopkins Bayview Family Therapist at Hampstead Hill Academy. And I'm here to answer some questions for the career fair. So the first question is, how long have I been in this position or industry? I went to school for it in 2015, graduate school, and I started officially working in the industry in 2017. So it's been about 4 years since I started mental health counseling. I chose this job actually because in middle school, I was always the friend that people went to when they had issues and when they had problems. And I was just a really good listener, and I would try to give the best advice that I could and try to help people solve their problems. And I realized, I have a knack for this. And I thought to myself, what type of job does this on a daily basis? And that's how I got to mental health counseling. A typical workday for me involves reading emails, scheduling clients for therapy, having therapy sessions, and a lot of it is documentation, just doing a lot of notes and writing about everything that I did with the patients. What I like best is helping my patients, helping my clients overcome challenges that they're experiencing and helping them move forward in their lives in the way that they want to. My least favorite thing about my job is definitely the documentation. It is very time consuming, it can be tedious, and it's just the most annoying part of my job overall. What type of interest, abilities, and skills would help a person to be successful? Definitely, you have to be a good listener if you want to be in this job. You have to be someone who's empathic, someone who cares about people is very important. If I would say generally, like if you've had retail experience and you're a good people person, you probably would be a good counselor in most cases. Just make sure that you take the appropriate avenues by going to college and taking the right classes to set yourself up to be a successful counselor. The type of education or training that you would need for my job is you have to, at bare minimum, you have to go to graduate school. So there's high school, college, and then graduate school. So even after you're finished with college and you get your psychology degree, you have to go to graduate school to get your master's in counseling psychology to become a full-fledged counselor and to actually speak to people one-on-one and help them with their issues. And of course, you have to get licensed afterwards, which you have to take an exam. You have to take a law exam depending on the state that you're living in. And then you have to take what is called the NCE, which is the National Counselor Examination, which just is a test about the knowledge and making sure that you are a well-prepared counselor and you're ready to enter the field and help people. Don't really use math in my career. There's a lot of reading because you're always learning about new techniques, new skills, how to better help people. A lot of writing because you're documenting everything that you do with your clients. Business, if you have your own private practice, you probably would use business skills a lot. I don't use that right now because I work for a hospital, so they kind of do all the business stuff on their end, and I don't need to. Technology, it helps to be good with computers because most of your documentation will be done on a computer. And as far as foreign language skills, I speak Spanish as well as English, so being bilingual helps me a lot because I'm able to see an entirely different type of population that most other counselors might not be able to help or see themselves because of that language barrier. Some advice that I would give to a student that's interested in this career is I would definitely say do your best to try and take a psychology course if you can in high school, if they offer it. I was lucky enough that when I went to high school, I went to Calvert Hall, and they offered a psychology AP course my senior year, and I took that, and I loved it. I knew definitely in that moment for sure that this is the career that I wanted to go towards because it was everything that I expected it to be and more so. Type of starting position and salary would someone entering this field be most likely to find? So the other thing is with this career, don't expect to come into mental health counseling expecting to be making big bucks. Like, this is not the career for that. It's, you really got to love it to really put yourself through all the schooling and the heartache that it can the hardship, excuse me, that it can put you through sometimes, because it is a lot. But you could probably expect, like most LGPCs, which is a licensed graduate professional counselor, which is the license you get after you pass the NCE for the first time. You can probably start anywhere between, I'd say, $17 to $22, $25. It depends on what area you live in, like what state you live in. Some states pay more than others, and what type of setting you're in. So like if you're in a hospital or if you're in a nonprofit, that salary is going to fluctuate. But then when you become an LCPC, which is the next licensed clinical professional counselor, you can expect to make a little bit more money. Not like a huge amount, but you could probably make a comfortable amount. And again, depending on where you live, that amount will increase. Do you have to depend on others in order to accomplish your job? Do you work in teams? So generally speaking, you technically don't have to. You definitely got to depend on others when you're first starting, because you need a supervisor, you need supervision, someone who can look at your cases and make sure that you're doing appropriate things with your patients and your clients. But once you become a full-fledged licensed counselor, you technically don't need a supervisor, though it is highly recommended to keep supervision and to keep a supervisor to kind of help talk about your cases, just to get secondhand feedback, and to help. I always feel like it's helpful anyway. So even after I get my next license, I think I would definitely still keep a supervisor to help me with my cases. And you definitely, depending on the clinical setting that you're in, you will probably have team meetings with other clinicians in that setting, and you would do a lot of teamwork in that regard. Just giving people advice on what to do, or getting advice for yourself when you're stuck in a hard situation with another patient. Any other industries that I could work with my skills or expertise? Like I said, retail, I could probably be really good at that. I really enjoy talking to people. I love making connections. And I feel like that would be a good one. Probably a communications type of job I'd probably be good at too. Anything that deals with people, honestly, I think I'd have the skill set for it. Are there certain times of the month that are busier than others? So for me, I'm busy year round, but that's because I work for a hospital, so they're never not busy. But I know that for other people, like who work in nonprofit or work in private practice, there are definitely busy seasons and slow seasons. Most of the time, the slow seasons are the colder months, or when there's a lot of holidays congested together. So like probably from like November to like middle of January, it can get slower just because you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. So I would say that's probably the slower season for a lot of professionals. What are the opportunities for advancement in this occupation? So there's a couple. So once you get your final license, you can essentially acquire other licenses to be like experts in certain populations. So like you can get a family therapy certificate, you can get a substance abuse certificate, and all these different certificates can help increase your value as an employee, excuse me. So, if you are applying for a job, you can list off like, these are all the skills and certificates that I've, acquired throughout my time being a counselor, and that will help, that will probably help you negotiate on a higher salary as a whole. And then of course you can always become a supervisor as well. I'm not exactly sure of the steps myself yet, just because I haven't gotten to that point, but I know that you have to apply through the board, the mental health board, to get approved to become a supervisor. And what part-time jobs, internships, or extracurricular activities would best prepare you for this occupation? I'd say anything that has you dealing with people on a day-to-day basis and using your people skills, I think can definitely be helpful in terms of preparing you for an occupation in mental health. Because, like, for example, for me, when I was 16, I was working for a senior citizen assisted living center. And I was a waiter, and every day I talked to the senior citizens. I, served them food, made conversation with them. I would listen to them, try to understand, where they're coming from, be compassionate, be empathic. And, those skills are all things you can definitely take with you if you decide to be a mental health counselor, because you have to be patient, you have to be a good listener, you have to be empathic. If you don't have those skills, it's probably not the career for you. But even if you don't have them right now, you can always learn to build upon those skills. And in turn, I think with practice, patience, and resilience, and just having that drive within you to hone in on those skills, you can acquire them. And then you'll be set to hopefully have a fantastic career as a mental health therapist. So those are all the questions that I see here. So if anybody has any other questions about the mental health therapy, career route, I am always available through my email, which is jpolanc2, the number 2, at jhmi.edu. And you can submit any questions to me through my email. All right. Thank you and have a good day.